I've got a ways to go before I get 1,144 delegates. So I'm not counting the delegates before they hatch, but I'm going to keep working very hard and hope I get a good, strong send-off from Wisconsin.
Their primary is tomorrow, and that's Mitt Romney campaigning in Wisconsin and sounding more confident than usual. He actually said over the weekend, I'll probably be the Republican nominee, but he has help on the campaign trail. Insiders are calling it a secret weapon, and it's a woman traveling with him. Let's find out more from ABC's Steve Roberts, our political analyst. What are you hearing, Steve?
Well, yes, and it's a big story in Politico, the widely read political newspaper here in Washington, about Ann Romney. She, the cliche is she softens him and makes him more human, and I think that's true. But also she tells a story about him as a person. It's not about policy at all. And I've believed, having now covered 12 presidential campaigns, that the stories candidates tell are absolutely critical. They convey who they are on a personal level. Michelle Obama was very useful to Barack Obama in terms of a personal narrative, and Laura Bush was absolutely essential to the success of her husband as a candidate. And Mitt Romney is still so awkward and so uncomfortable dealing with people, but Ann is a more human, more accessible figure than her husband. The story she tells about him as a husband and as a father can be very effective. And also the story she tells about the fact that she's now suffered through 2 serious medical problems of MS and breast cancer, and stories she tells about his support on an emotional level. I think they connect with voters, and Democrats cannot win the presidency without a huge advantage among female voters. You're going to be seeing a lot more of Ann Romney this summer and next fall, particularly trying to appeal to female voters on a personal level.
Steve, Rick Santorum is comparing his campaign to a Final Four basketball game. Tell us about that.
Well, yeah, he says it's only halftime and that no one would have told Kansas that they should have quit at halftime against Ohio State. But the analogy doesn't hold up. First of all, it's not halftime. It's about 5 minutes left in the second half. And secondly, the appropriate analogy would be Kansas playing with about 9 players on the floor and Ohio State with about 3. And that's really what you've got Romney and Santorum. Romney has such a tremendous advantage in money and organization that Santorum is facing, in my view, totally impossible odds. I've thought for weeks, even months, that the campaign was over. And I think one tip-off here is you have so many, even the most hardcore Republican conservatives, rallying around rallying around Romney in Wisconsin, just to take an example. Paul Ryan, the very popular young conservative congressman, chairman of the Budget Committee, came out for Romney. Ron Johnson, the new Republican senator from Wisconsin, a Tea Party favorite, came out for Romney. And the reason for this is simple. They look at the numbers. They look at the polls. They realize that Obama is stockpiling cash while the Republicans are attacking each other. In Wisconsin, Romney is leading Santorum by 7 or 8 points. But when you test a fall matchup, Obama's leading Romney by 17 points in the NBC poll this morning. That tells Republicans, let's stop fighting. Let's start focusing on Obama. Let's start closing that gap. So this is not halftime. The clock is winding down on Rick Santorum.
But just briefly, because our time is almost up, Santorum is saying, well, if it's over, why is Romney spending $4 million in Wisconsin for tomorrow's primary? Why is he still campaigning?
Well, that's a fair comment. He's still campaigning because he wants it to be over as quickly as possible, and he doesn't want this to drag on. And Santorum will say he doesn't have the majority of delegates yet, and that's true from a purely mathematical point of view. But every other index, endorsements, money, organization, this is over. And Rick Santorum is about the only Republican, apparently, who doesn't understand that.
Comments of ABC's Steve Roberts on the Morning Update. Always appreciate it, Steve. Thank you.
Okay, friends.